All right. We are now streaming. It's been a while since we did this.
It has been, but we've tried to keep it on the DL as we haven't had a lot going on and a lot to talk about. But I do want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. And tonight is a very special live event because we have probably two of my favorite guests and people in the entire community, and that is Anon Pencil and Flu Pre Pre, also known as Flutter Priest. Welcome.
Aw, that's so sweet. Pencil's my favorite too.
Aww. I'm my favorite too!
Well, isn't that special? All right. Well, and again,
right, yeah. Hey, babe, you're my favorite. Yeah.
Whatever. No one cares. As Crystal may have mentioned, it is the first time we've done this in a while, and the question is why now, y'all? You've been so lazy. Why now? And I will tell you why. One, because we have good guests. Two, because we actually have something to talk about. And three,
because I felt bad that we hadn't done one.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's all right. Don't worry. She feels bad about a lot of things a lot of times.
That's how I live my life.
This makes me sad.
Yeah, well, these are things. All right, so we will get started. Emotional trauma, snowed over. All right, so we'll get started with real quick.
Wait, I'm being informed that the stream is not streaming.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Are you kidding?
Oh,
All
no.
that comedy gold wasted?
Wait, no, it says it's live. I think it's because I set it to unlisted because it keeps publishing everything. After, so it was publishing my test streams.
Yeah, I did see that
test stream. I didn't want it to not
here.
happen, so I moved it to unlisted, but I think that made it so no one could see the stream. Okay, I set it to public. Did that fix it?
All right. Hopefully we didn't lose that comedy gold, but if we did, I'll just, get my belt. All right.
Listen.
We can. Oh no, it's right here.
It's here. Okay, it's here.
It's fine. It's good.
You can actually scroll back and it's all there.
It was a me. It was just a me, as it always is. I love my life.
I love him.
Okay. Well, all right. So tonight's topic is going to be the dark truth of Horsefame, and we have brought along two of the most Horse-famous people I know, Anon Pencil and Flutter Priest, discuss that with us. And also, we've got the quick Q&B State of the Union, which we'll start with. We won't go too long with that. And then we will end it up with everyone's favorite game show on Q&B, which is
it's called the Newlywed Game.
The Newlywed Game, right? It's our favorite game. Oh yes, and this time we're gonna have an audible. So it would be too easy for Crystal and I to play, and then for you two to play. So it's actually going to be Anon Pencil and Crystal as one couple, and Flutter Priest and Flap Flap as another.
Oh God.
This is great.
This is everything I've wanted.
So we're just done, Ansel. Like we can't match this.
Oh no, sir. No, I have a good feeling that if we both use our masculinity and close our eyes and stare off into, you stare east, I'll stare west.
With your eyes closed.
We'll get it. With our eyes closed. Yeah, of course. Is that not obvious? We'll get it. Okay. But we'll get there last. Let's start.
I call dibs on the paper bag.
On the paper bag. Done. Okay. So we'll do a quick Q&B State of the Onion, and we'll start with Crystal because she's got her announcement for. It's going to start Thursday.
So for NaNoWriMo, I'm going to kind of use that yearly thing as an excuse to just sit down, focus, and write the second arc of Beyond the Veil, because I realized when I looked at things, it's been a year, and I ain't got no more excuses, so I'm just going to use NaNoWriMo as an excuse because the length of each arc is roughly like novella novel length, so end of November we're going to have something.
Which is exciting because I've been very eager to work on it. And for those who don't know, NaNoWriMo actually started us in the fandom.
Yes, so. That's the other thing, is there's kind of like there's an emotional attachment to NaNoWriMo there. So we're gonna couple it up.
All right. And on my side of the fence, Azure Days is complete. So Crystal is doing her quick read. She's over a third through, and I'll do my second pass, and then we might go live as early as next week. So there will be a new Ansel story for you to read for the next 26, 28 weeks or so. Yeah. So enjoy that. And and then also we're getting very, very close to releasing Secrets 2.0. So, Pencil, plug something. Plug something.
Oh shit. Well, I'm gonna have to be lame and go with the Barcast. If you guys can stand some NSFW stuff and some content that's a little bit rude, then I suggest that you go take a look at the Barcast. Alex, if you want to post links, buddy. He's good at it. It is a podcast we do where we interview people from the fandom or even from the show itself. We've had Bill Newton on there. We've interviewed John Delancey. We've interviewed Trevor Duvall, Kelly Sheridan. We've interviewed some really amazing freaking people. And we also have interviewed people like Crystal and Ansel, who are just as amazing. And it's fun. And it's
twice.
Yes, and you're still one of the most popular ones of all time.
Still waiting for the hat trick.
I want it badly. But what we will, and we donate to horse charity. We do all of the proceeds from it go to Red Wings Horse Sanctuary. It's really great. Donate to our Patreon, and tune in next Sunday for a big one that I'm really excited about because we're going to be interviewing Dr. Boris G, who's the guy who runs the 4chan Cup, and I've wanted to have him on this cast for like literally years, and he said yes, and I don't know why, and I'm terrified, and I might throw up on myself. So you should tune in for that.
And people shall, and well done. And Flutter Priest?
I'm admiring you guys for talking about NaNiWriMo, because I'm going to try and do some NaNiWriMo stuff myself, the best I can to finish a novel. But I'm going to take my chance to plug a certain person's commission queue.
Oh, lordy.
Tell us more. Oh my god, that sounds amazing.
There's a fantastic user on FimFiction by the name of Non-Pencil who takes commissions. They're only about around 1,500 words, and they cost $15 each, but the story is delivered in 24 hours. So,
yeah.
And so far, it's been 100% user satisfaction. So I would definitely plug, if you're looking for a good commission and you need a story right now, hit up a Non-Pencil.
Oh, I plan to, but I'm gonna make her write something very different than she normally writes.
You can try. I write a lot of weird stuff. I will say, though, I'm going to be closing my commission queue soon. So if you want to get the suggestions in, get them in now, and I probably will write over 1,500 words. I think every one I've written is over 1,700 words. So there you go.
Well done. All right.
Thank you, Priest.
And everybody should check them out on FimFiction. I probably imagine that everybody here knows y'all by now, but in case you don't, you should. That would be the right thing to do. That would be the American and or European and or other human thing to do, because there are no other humans besides America and Europe.
I will also say for the Q&B fans, Pencil was commissioned to do a story that includes Crystal Wishes and Golden Pants, and it's amazing, and I love it. It's actually a really good Crystal and Golden.
I hoped it would be okay.
It's fantastic. I loved it.
All right. So now let's get on to really, really, truly important things. Pencil.
Yeah.
What's your Halloween costume?
I haven't decided. I have such a selection of costumes in my closet, and I've gone as like all of them, and I don't know what I'm gonna throw on this year. I might throw on hockey gear, which is always an easy one. I don't want to throw on anything too scary because I will be answering the door for trick-or-treaters, and I don't want to terrify them. So I can't wear what I really want to wear, which is a very cannibalistic, horrifying White Glove Society New Vegas costume, and that would actually break children. So I have to decide what to do to help with that.
Gotcha. Priest, what are you wearing?
I'm going to be probably really boring. All my money that I would normally spend to a costume is going towards putting a costume on Milo.
Are you really?
God, I love it.
Oh my god!
And
yes.
What I want to do is I don't have any Halloween plans. No one's invited me out to do anything or do anything cool like that. So I'm probably going to dress up my dog and then hand out Halloween stuff with whoever invites me, and if nobody invites me to anything, probably parents, and I can help give out treats to kids, and they can give Milo a treat, and then he'll be horribly overfed that night.
Well, I mean,
That's
priest, you and I could celebrate Dia de los Muertos if you'd rather.
Oh, maybe.
That's on November 2nd, so.
Yee.
Yee.
It'll be a good time.
Yee.
All right.
Oh my god, we need pictures of Milo's costume.
I agree.
Yes.
Our goal, of course, is to get Mango to dress up, but she is not into it.
She is very anti everything we want.
You can paint her nails.
Yes.
Could paint her nails.
I want this.
I will give it a try. The
I
problem is she
know.
chews on her feet, so
We'll get edible paint, but I just realized she's got the perfect costume. She could be Slimer from Ghostbusters. I mean, she's basically already him. She eats everything.
she's annoying as hell. Wow, I mean, I'm sorry. Should I not talk about her that way?
That's birdist.
Well, we are definitely birdist. Okay, let's talk about our titular topic. It's titular because it's that important and that's into the zeitgeist. The dark side of Horsefame. That Crystal picked this topic, so I'm going to make her intro it.
Surezies. I will say, like, Ansel, I honestly think you probably have the least to contribute to this topic because you are just one emotionally healthy, solid piece of just don't give a damn about other people's opinions. And I mean that in a complimentary way.
So she has totally written me out of the episode. That's all right.
No!
I got phone games.
It's okay. It's okay. We can. You and I can not give shits together.
Sweet.
So the reason this kind of all came about is, as we are wont to do, like little girls, Flutter Priest and I were in private messages just kind of complaining about how Horsefame has actually in some ways kind of, not ruined our lives, but ruined some of our joy.
We complain a lot. It's great.
We complain a lot. Like we get the nail polish out and the chocolates and we just talk. Curlers in our hair.
Yes.
The little foam thingies between the toes. And we just dish girl dish.
Oh yeah.
But in seriousness, I feel like Flutter Priest has the most coherent way of speaking, and I'm kind of an anxiety-ridden rambler. So, Flutter Priest, would you like to talk?
Sure. I'll awkwardly make my way up to this podium.
Yeah, please do.
But
I'm right beside you. I'm holding your hand.
This fandom's weird. You guys may not know this, but in the Brony fandom, there's a lot of drama. And it's really strange when you kind of find yourself on the sidelines. I try to make sure, especially with things like the Barcast, that there's a lot of drama that happens, and the Barcast does not get associated with it. We don't get wrapped up in it. But occasionally, what seems to happen, I've seen it happen to Quill and Blade, and it's happened to Barcast. It's happened to a lot of friends in this community. Is that drama happens to you? Something that you say or something is done is taken out of context, and it really, really sucks. And you kind of have to take this moment, step back, and see what's going on. In fact, one of the things I wanted to kind of touch on and be like, oh, dang, this is a good thing to talk about is the whole comments thing, and like with the community and turning off comments on stories. Crystal, you recently turned off a whole bunch of comments on your stories for a lot of really healthy reasons. Do you want to just briefly talk on that, and then maybe I can give my own 2 cents too?
Absolutely.
So I think we have.
I told you we are standing on this podium together, so I will save you from the awkwardness that I put you on by kind of like shoving you on the podium.
Oh, that's fine.
You're a stronger person than me. So the truth of the matter is, my sister and I, as some people know, commute together, and recently now the three of us, Ansel included, commute, all three of us. But my sister and I were in the car, and I was just kind of, I I don't know the right word for it. I want to say upset. I was internalizing and stressed about comments in general, about how they just don't, they used to make me happy. Like, it used to be this awesome, cool thing of, wow, I've got 10 notifications that I just woke up to. I wonder what they all are. And over time, it's become this, oh God, I've got 10 notifications. What are they? And it just makes me stressed. Comments really don't, comments are not where I get constructive criticism, for one. That's the big thing that people will say, oh, you need comments to grow as an author, to get constructive feedback, to know where you've made mistakes, and to learn from them. And really, in the past 4 years, I can think of one comment on all of my stories that was actually a constructive comment. The rest, constructive criticism. The rest were, there's been some really great comments. There's some that like made me feel like I was this amazing writer, like this person seeing these connections that I never intended and made me look really smart, like literary tropes and whatnot. But by far and large, they're either empty nothings, like, hello, oh my god, update, or they're, less than savory. But this really wasn't about trying to avoid the haters and trying to, drown out the angry noise. It's the everything in between. It's the entitlement. It's the comment section is where I can post, typo corrections, and where I can show my entitlement and knowledge and how smart I am. And look, I'm in this public forum to talk more about me than about the story. And it just is exhausting, honestly. And
so,
yes, sorry, please interrupt me. I'm just
not
talking
to cut
forever.
you off, but clearly,
do.
after you talked about this and posted a blog post about this, everyone very clearly respected your decision, and didn't post anything about freaking out about your decision and saying that you were doing healthy things for yourself, right?
Yeah, it was a very wonderful, like, there was cake. Someone actually went out and got balloons, and I walked in the door and they fell on me, and everyone was just so supportive and great. Especially when they started getting into fights about how I'm hurting myself as an author and how I shouldn't close myself off to feedback, and how how I was just too blind to my own mistakes and wanted to just kind of stay the way I am and things like that. It was really supportive, and it made me feel really good about my decision.
So it was a complete shitstorm.
It was a little bit of a shitstorm. The comment section was a little bit of a shitstorm. Weirdly, the most shitstorm that I got, the most proponents of this is a terrible mistake, are the people who aren't regular readers or commentators. Like, I got some private messages. The comments that were the most fiercely against it were people who don't comment on my stuff anyway, which was really weird to me. Which again ties back to it's just an entitlement, it feels.
Well, no, I think what ended up happening was something that kind of like just taps into the community as a whole. Because as a result of your decision and stuff that happened, there was a certain article that was written critiquing about comment culture and review culture on fanfiction. And my part of this story kind of jumps in and was like, oh, hey, there's good ideas and stuff presented in this. And I shared said article. And that created a shitstorm. I had probably about 10 different private messages. There was a bunch of comments. Mods got involved with like policing the comment section. It was rough. And a lot of it kind of came down to things to talk about, like what happens when you have this platform of you have so many followers or whatever, people read your stuff and give you worth to your opinions, and the kind of things that come along with that. And so that's what I really kind of like wanted to bring up, and hey, you may not realize this, person who wants to get a lot of stuff, but here are the side effects of these things. And I didn't really realize this until I was actually in a call with someone who sent me like PMs about how angry they were about how I was defending these ideas. So I guess I'll ask. I guess I'm good at asking questions. Crystal, tell me if I'm stupid. Has
absolutely not
getting extra reads or having people appreciate your work, or having people follow you or care about what you say, has it changed the way that you think about yourself and your own work?
Absolutely. I actually put out a blog post a little while back, some months ago, because I finally reached a breaking point where I was so suffocated by the, not expectation, but the image that people have grown to have of me because of the way I've presented myself, that any deviation from that was as though I were, speaking ill of a, I want to say of a god, but that's like, I'm not saying that I am of that, but like that kind of reaction of, if you were to say, well, God likes potato chips, and they're like, how dare you, potato chips are the spawn of Satan, and like that kind of thing. And like it once you reach a certain point, and I don't know where that threshold is or what that point is, but you're no longer just a regular human being. Like, me doing a blog post has for some reason weight, and like me removing my comments, people I don't know are talking about it, and it's just it's not like I'm trying to advocate that everyone turn off their comments. I actually think that's not a good idea, but it was a good idea for me. But me talking about it no longer makes it about me, even though it's about me, which is really, really weird.
But we are regular human beings. We're just being put on a pedestal.
Yes. Pedestal, that's a good word.
So
Well,
with that, go ahead.
No, finish your train of thought.
No, I was just going to say, like, transition to the next point, and with that pedestal comes expectations. So by all means, if you had something else to add, please.
Well, what was interesting to me, as an outside observer, so to speak.
Right.
So I think it's fair to say that I've enjoyed success like Crystal, but I've always engaged differently than Crystal, and for some reason, the way I engaged has always left a good, solid, we'll call it like wedge or barrier between myself and, I guess we'll call it, all of this, if that makes sense. So to me, it's really interesting. And then the other thing too is I have to sway, and then maybe Pencil can weigh in. This is like, I also wonder if I'm treated differently than Crystal because she's a woman and I'm a man, right? So do people not talk back to me because I'm a man? Do they are they talking down to her like, oh, you don't know anything, you stupid woman? I mean, that's what I always wonder about, because she gets this stuff and I don't, and I'm wondering, is that a function of her gender? Is it a function of how she's engaged? Is it a function of maybe some of them know that Crystal is susceptible to that, which is just the truth? I mean, I hate saying this, but like, as her husband, certain comments, certain things that happen in film fiction have literally ruined days of her life. And I'm not even like joking. Like, literally, I'll come home and I'm like, okay, did somebody die? Something, and it's literally something of our film fiction. And it's one of those struggles, because I have to sit there and be like, okay, she's having a real remote emotion. This is really a thing. But for me, I'm like, this is some stupid little person on the internet, and I could care less. But it really hits her. So I'm wondering, is that a function of who she is, her gender? I mean, what Pencil is? Do people treat you differently because of your gender? As with part of this,
They do, and I have a really unique perspective on this. Because when I started writing, I was very careful to keep my gender hidden. So the vast majority of people thought I was male. I always wrote from the male perspective. I wrote a lot of pornography from the male perspective. I wrote a lot of really horrible fetishy things, some of which was rather degrading to the female characters, done in a comedic way. What people didn't really catch on to is that the male character usually dies or is somehow horribly maimed or disfigured in it. And they never really put it together like, oh God, why would you do this? I'm like, wow, I have news for you, children. And so eventually it kind of came out that some people started like, wait, Pencil's a girl? Like, that I am. Like, a real girl? Like, I have a vagina. And that was kind of how it began. And people stopped talking to me. It wasn't that I was suddenly lambasted with all of this input, like, oh, I think that I can control you now, or I think you're really susceptible to criticism, or I think I have a means to hurt you. Is that people just didn't know what the F to say to me. So it was a slow process of people coming to me and being like, well, I really like your work, and also you're a girl, and that's weird. Now I don't know how to talk to you. I'm like, just talk to me the same exact way you would have talked to me based on my writing if you thought I had a dick. And most of the people I've surrounded myself with are really comfortable doing that. They've kind of forgotten I'm female unless I point it out aggressively. Because the persona I've created online is really gender neutral and very abrasive, very aggressive, swears a lot, very difficult to approach. I am intimidating. I build that up for myself. And Crystal can tell you, IRL, I'm not that intimidating once I'm not around people.
I think you're wonderful.
Thank you.
And see, I think. Oh, sorry. I think that's something you and I share in common is at least keep some slight air of intimidation.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be approachable or as approachable.
But it's more than that, because some people will come to me and be like, but you should change A, B, and C, and D. I'm like, that's fine, you think so, I'm not doing it. And they know not to argue with me. They know not to even try to argue with me, because I've built up this reputation for just really not caring. I don't care what they have to say. I barely edit my work. I'm just putting it out there. You enjoy it or you don't. I'm not apologizing for anything. For a long time, the motto on my page in big letters was, I am moderately sorry, or I'm not sorry at all. So even though, and people have approached me and treated me very differently. People have approached me and been a little fanboyish around me and awkward, and that I've had a couple people hit on me, and it's weird. But they don't come after me like they come after Crystal. And I think it's because they think she'll listen. And I think that's the same for Priest. I think Priest is really approachable. I think Priest is really accessible. And I think people feel like he'll listen to them. Whereas, Ansel, I don't think you and I give off this air of actually giving a crap if anyone talks to us.
Yeah. And I'm with you on that, because that is my thing. Like, she's gotten better, but like it used to be when we first started, if anyone, including someone that had never commented, was like, oh, you should change this, she'd be already changing it. Like literally, she'd be changing her story. And me, I make mistakes. There's certain things, but yeah, I'm much like you, where people are like, oh, this, and this. My favorite though is and this is just sort of like to lighten the topic for a second. My absolute favorite comment is, because you say, I like comments, I like idiots. I don't want people to actively do it, like, because that's not the same. I don't want ingenuine idiots. I want the one that's like, if this such and such doesn't happen within chapter 2, I'm out. Dude, no one cares. Literally, no one cares about you.
I've literally never had that. No one has ever threatened to like not read, and I wonder again. If that's again my air of not giving a crap.
Oh my gosh,
I've had that several times.
Oh, me too. That's super entitled. Like, you have to drive the story the way I want you to, or I'm going to stop reading. First of all, I don't know who you are. Like, even if I did, I still would not care. The only time I really changed the story was when Crystal flipped her shit about me killing Silent Night.
I cried.
Oh, did you really?
Yes, no, he told me his plan for Memoirs, which was originally that Silent Night would die. He wouldn't come back home. And we were sitting on the couch side by side, and I turned to him, and I'm like, tears are streaming down my face. And I'm like, you can't do that. Like, you just can't do that.
She lost it. So Silent Night didn't die, and now I'm lots more Horsewords in. So y'all, anyone that like gets tired of him, you can blame Crystal, because he's supposed to be dead.
Now, the other thing is, like, you guys also are more emotionally invested into your stuff. Like, I think Pencil and I, we get into a habit more than quite a few times to say to each other, it's just pony fan fiction. It's really not that important. But you guys actually have built your own world with your own original characters that are somewhat inspired off of each other. And I mean, you guys use usernames,
Priest, we can't say that.
Oh, I suppose we can.
We can't say that because you have F-Swipe, which has its own entire alternate universe that you've created around it and alternate accounts on the frickin' site, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, but I mean, still at the end of the day, like, I guess I do care.
Yeah, and as much as I'd like to say I don't give a crap about Broken Bindings or Broken Love, Broken Bindings was such a difficult passion project, and the Broken Love series is, I actually give a damn, but if anyone tells me to change that, I will probably swear them into the ground.
But all I'm trying to say is, like, there's still a degree of separation where it's like, this is our thing, this is our creation, and we're not going to just bow to what anyone says because X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
Whereas for Ansel and I, like, this is our number one couple passion, hobby, activity, investment.
Yeah, which I think also, and I think this is a big thing, changes the motivation, right? And this kind of goes back to Crystal's comments things. Everyone's like, oh, without this, you can't progress as a writer, which we all know is bullshit. I'm sorry that anyone that thinks that they're going to get any... No, I'm saying it. I don't care. She's like looking at me like, oh, God, he's about to go off. Like, anyone that... I'm just going to say it. Anyone that believes that downvotes have any value to a writer on the site is not thinking through. They just like that. And anyone that truly believes that you're going to get a lot of value out of comments also is kind of kidding themselves. I really think, at least on film fiction and the culture that's been built there, that's a very, very fuck writers, readers are everything culture. I think both comments and votes do far more harm than good and don't do anything to actually better the authors. They just run them off, is what happens. It's not a place for new writers, that's for sure. So I think I had a point there. I don't know where it went, but I mostly just wanted to say that.
Well, no, the elaborating question is, then why is there so much expectation? Like, the main argument for people that are like, oh, you can't turn off comments, or, oh, review culture is good because of this, is because of, there's expectations that people who write pony fan fictions are doing this to get better, or they have some ultimate goal of getting published. And why is that expectation set on us? I can't tell you the number of groups that I've been in that are like, oh, high follower counts mean that they're great writers, or, I'm trying to be a published author when I do that. And that's all fine. That's really wonderful for you. But why is that expectation placed on people that garner followings or high follower accounts?
Yeah, or expected of everyone. Like, I have I have zero interest in ever trying again to be a published author. I did that long before ponies, and it is a massively depressing thing. And I'm sure Pencil could tell horrible stories. It's very difficult. I got my name in one professional magazine back when magazines were a thing. And for the kids that don't know what magazines are, there are these books, like little books with different things in them that you would get monthly. They don't
Sometimes
exist
they contain
anymore.
breasts.
It's true.
True.
So I have a strong feeling about this, about the not magazines. Those are relics of the past, just like my husband. But the culture of film fiction versus every other writing community I've been a part of. So I've been on fanfiction.net, I've been on Archive of Our Own, I've been on a forum when I was like 13 or 14 that was just like a writing advice forum. I've been on bookcountry.com. I've been on all these communities, and fanfiction is unique among them. And I think part of it is fanfiction is reader-centric. It's got the featured box, which is I can't think of any writing community that I've been a part of that has any feature like the featured box. Of things that put front and center, ooh, this is a good story. This is a good story. You want to read the story. This story people really like. This got heat. Whereas on the other places is, yes, like Archive of Our Own, a lot of people are writing there, and it's kind of like more or less writing into a void sometimes where you don't get that feedback. But there's also not this culture of competition, really. It's you're writing because you're passionate about it and because you want to share it, and people are reading because they want to read these things that you might be writing, this fandom that you're writing for, or these tags that you have that intrigue them. But it's more about sharing than it is about competition, and I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, it's one of the things that makes me laugh at the idea of femfic becoming genfic. I'm like, there's plenty of genfic sites, and they all do it better than you.
Whoa.
You see, I'm definitely the outlier in this group then, because, and Priest can tell you, I like negative feedback. I like the downvotes. I like the negativity. I roll in it. I enjoy it. And it's something I've learned to crave, like crack. And one of the things I like about film fiction is that it isn't as gentle and it isn't as loving and huggy and supportive. And that's not conducive to a healthy environment for some people. And if it is not a conducive environment to you, and I absolutely 100% support turning off comments and upvotes and downvotes. I support turning it off. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work. Turn it off. Be healthy. Be happy. It's just horse words.
See, I love downvotes. Go ahead.
I was going to say real quick. Does anyone else find it funny though? Like, because Pencil, what you just said is 100% correct. And isn't it funny that the one place where it is literally the show about friendship and loving and understanding, and I mean, that's wait, what?
I mean, and maybe it's the industry me that goes, yeah, hell yeah, this is exactly the kind of thing I want, because this is kind of like a weird, skewed microcosm of the publishing world in a lot of ways. Because editors will come to you and they will not understand your work at all, and you won't respect them or give a crap about them, and they'll say, you need to change this. And you kind of have to say, okay, and you suck it up and you change it. You don't really get a choice. Occasionally you can argue your point as to why you left that there if there's a good reason for it, especially if you're writing something that's nonfiction, if you're writing a review, etc. But you don't get to say, I'm ignoring you, this is BS. And then I promise you, whenever you write articles online, the comment section is worse. The comment section is about 20 times worse than fiction. It is amazingly worse. It is hilarious. The things I have been called, the death threats I have actually received. I have been banned from a city in the United States, which I don't know if I'm allowed back in. Like, that is the writer life. That's how it works. And here, I get to say, no, that's okay. I'm going to ignore you, which is the best catharsis. So give me that negative feedback. Give it to me now. I fucking love it. Excuse the F-bomb. But
It's okay, Ansel did it first, so you're good.
But I have this kind of different mentality, and it leans more towards the Ansel style thing, that I really don't give a damn about what my audience has to say. And if my audience really likes it and someone speaks up to me and says something really heartfelt, I'll read it. Or if somebody has a really funny reaction to it, I'll read it. Oftentimes I'll bait people in my comment section like, oh God, why did you do this? I'll be like, yes, feed me. But I look at this as this warped little version of the actual published writing world. And I love living in it because it's so much easier to say, F you, I do what I want. So I love it. And if people give me downvotes, oh well, it does it better, but I still get to look at them and be like, yeah, I wrote something and you don't like it, and I don't care. F you.
Well, I also think that there is a place for downvotes, but it's usually in the context of what I'm writing. Like if I'm writing a comedy story that is like 100% puns and people hate puns and I get downvotes, I can just be like, oh, I made someone mad. Or in a more delicate sense, if I'm writing an anti-romance where like it builds up to a romance the whole time and then at the end you don't get the happy couple and I start getting downvotes, then I made people upset reading it, and that was the intent. And so that in some ways that kind of reflects like I did my job right. And hopefully at that point you have to take a stand back and hopefully they understood the message you were trying to give. But that said, as far as someone just writing something for fun and they want to get their own catharsis out and just enjoy it, yeah, I could see where like a rating system isn't really appropriate.
Which I guess at this point they've turned off. You can turn off the rating system, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
You
now
can.
the option.
I recently had to test that myself.
For a good reason. For a very good reason.
Yes.
So yeah, that's positive. You know, like I said, if you don't want to play the game, then don't. And I think that's a perfectly fair. You know, it's the whole Iron Man mode of you turn off, achievements. I guess is what you call it.
Yeah.
I will say I think it's fascinating, Pencil, your perspective of things, given that so many people on this site will say, oh, I want to be a published author and you guys are so mean and this is so tough and this is so horrible. And it's like like you said, it's like, oh, you guys know nothing of the real world.
Yes. Well, I think that's frequently obvious, but that perspective is really interesting because I can see that, and I don't think anyone's going to argue that comments on random websites are better because yes, like even the ones where I look like sometimes when I'm bored, I'll read a story, and then really the entertainment is going to the comments. Because that's at least on film fiction, there's sort of the understanding of they're associated to that. But you talk about real online anonymity, the people that are just like on a random website, oh yeah, they'll say anything. And that's, again, that comes back to that whole, I think this is a microcosm of what we're seeing with online of people being anonymous, and then the fact that everyone seems to think that their opinion on everything matters.
Yeah, and that's very true. And with horse words, we have the choice to say, ha ha, you don't matter, it's not important. Whereas if I'm in the real world and I write something that upsets someone, which I have done many, many times, I've written hundreds of articles, and somebody suddenly contacts me through my private email, which I haven't given out, and says, if you come to my city again, I'll shoot you. It's like, okay.
That's terrifying.
And that's happened, and it's happened to me several times before. Not to mention like the extreme misogyny that I see sometimes from some of the commenters.
Oh yeah,
like it's really impressive. But and in a way, if you do want to get better for the writing world, fan fiction can be helpful because, as callous as it may sound, it teaches you to kind of nut up, buttercup. It's going to get worse. It will. And
so then would you say that like fan fiction can actually help you like prepare for the actual real writing world?
I think it's more like a vetting ground. If you can get into fan fiction and get used to the negative comments, and if you can deal with that, and if your ego can take that, because that's important. You need to have ego to be a writer, and there's nothing wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong with looking in this going, wow, I cannot deal with this. Especially today, I can't deal with this. This is hurting me. This is genuinely hurting me. That doesn't make you weak. That doesn't make you pathetic. That is absolutely something you should know about yourself. It's important because your mental health comes first, period.
Yeah.
And if you're someone who wants to be a writer and you want to be a writer in the real world and you're expecting hugs, there's no hugs there. Like, good Lord, there's no hugs there. And learning that in a place like FemFic where there are at least some people who are going to support you, where you do have somebody on your side, and where you do have writers that are going to speak up and say, I really liked this, which you're not going to get in the real world, really. It's a learning experience. And if you can get used to that, and if you can look at that and say, yeah, this is something I can deal with and I still want to do, F yeah, you've just taken step one. If you do it and you say, you know what, I cannot deal with these people because either I just don't like it or make me not want to write, which is the worst thing in the world, then yeah, then you've learned something about yourself and you've learned something about the writing world. So yeah. And that's my humble opinion. Sorry.
Okay, so then here's kind of what this is leading up to. Why does it seem like the vocal minority of the film fiction crowd is so... Thank you, Milo. Seems to be against the idea of just having fun with horse words. Why does it have to be so serious? Why do you have to always be looking to improve? Why do you have to be the grade of an actual published author?
How mean do you want me to be? I'm going to let them answer because I want to think about how mean I should be.
And once again, I'm talking about the vocal minority.
I know exactly who you're talking about, and I think Ansel and Crystal should talk about this, and I should be quiet.
I really want to know what Pencil has to say.
Yeah, you formulate it because I really want to hear it because I think I like it. I will say this. I have always struggled with the expectation of every writer on the site from, again, the readers, vocal minority, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to say most people, is you have to be better than the show writers. Like, that is the general expectation. Like, oh my God, you forgot an every pony, or you said hands. Yes, they know what hands are, morons. They've got beasts in the world that have hands. So, I don't know, Priest. That's the thing. Like that. Oh, you did? Did you not know about Azariah? Oh, okay, yeah. Azariah has different. She also randomly says different things sometimes when you just happen to say hands in the chat. By the way.
Okay.
I don't get it. I don't get that. And yes, that's the thing that I've tried to express several times. And this is sort of, I think it's different. So I don't really play a lot of competitive things. I only really compete with one person, and that's myself. And when I look at it, I ask, is this better than the last time I did it? And as y'all know, I do rewrites. I like to do rewrites on my own stories, not because of any feedback, because I like to see how I improve. When I read a newer story and I look back and I'm thinking, wow, this is a much better story. I've done a better job telling a story. And then if I like read something from a superior writer, and again, there are superior writers. That's just how it is. There's always going to be someone better. I like to improve, but why we have to, I don't get. Yeah. Again, it's that huge self-entitlement. People don't understand. I just do this as fun for me and my wife together, and because I like it. And read it or don't. Crystal, what do you have to say before Pencil destroys everybody?
Hands.
I'll hand it to you on that one.
That was all, Crystal?
That's it. No, I'm excited to. I want to hear your sweet dulcet tones as you tell me the things.
Well, let's be vicious then, since this is something I do.
Kitty got claws.
Let's be vicious. This is the vocal minority who are very adamantly against getting rid of comments or getting rid of downvotes. Because these are the people who don't have enough in their lives that they feel they can have control over. And I mean that. These are people who read a story and become invested in it and look at this, and they are in a world that they can't control, and they're in a life they can't control, but they think for a hot minute that they can control an author and that they can control a story that they like. And because they're invested in it, because they're living through it, because this means something to them, they have suddenly hit a point that they have power, at least in their own mind. You take away that power, or you deny that power, or negate it, even if it's just a perceived power, and they lash out. Because they take it personally, because it is personally. That story is theirs. You as a writer are theirs. It is control, it is possession, and it is an overextended self-importance because they don't have it elsewhere. And that is something I learned a long time ago, is if you write something that upsets somebody, actually upsets somebody, or you disregard what they have to say or ignore them, it makes them feel powerless. And a lot of people don't deal with that feeling well. So
I think you're 100% right.
I agree with you so much.
Yep. I think that's, yeah, it's one of the things, you actually see this a lot in MMOs, at least back in the day, because one of the things, at least back early on before MMOs were more adopted, one of the kind of players we saw a lot of, and for those that don't know, I used to play there were games before World of Warcraft, but anyway, and they were very competitive.
FetLife.
Yeah.
No, that's not.
I'm joking.
That's not a game.
They were very, very competitive, right? That was a thing, and resources were scarce. So it wasn't like World of Warcraft where every guild, competed for the best time or, whatever.
I meant Second Life. I'm sorry.
I know you said FetLife. You said FetLife, and I saw you going.
I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm just gonna roll with it.
I know what game we're gonna create now. FetLife. I don't know. We'll have to work on what it's
about. That's an actual website.
It's a website. Don't go to it. It's a website. Don't go to it.
Okay. All right. Okay. But Pencil, you're right though, because we saw a lot of those people in the MMO community early on, and that was sort of the thing. You knew. And truthfully, this is why I got addicted to it in my teenage years, because my teenage years were kind of rough. I wasn't doing great at school. There were a lot of expectations pressed on me. But the one thing I could control was I was really, really good at EverQuest. And I was in the most exclusive guild on my server, and that was something. And anytime anything went wrong with that, a guild leader or an officer or something didn't go my way, yeah, it pissed me off a ton. So yeah, I think you nailed it.
And we're all like this in some small capacity. Everybody has something that, if it's out of their control and it doesn't go their way, some little spark in their lizard brain just goes, well, shit, time to wreck everything. It's what you do with that emotion when you feel it that is important, that matters. And on the internet, there's less of a filter, and so there's going to be a minority who feels their power going away and gets really vocal because there's no consequences.
So when people argue along the lines of like, you shouldn't turn off comments because how else are you going to improve as an author? Is it because they think that they, as individuals, are providing advice that makes writers better?
Let me translate that. Let me translate that post for you. Don't turn off comments. How are you going to grow as an author? Means don't turn off comments. How am I going to be able to tell you what I think?
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. And that's the thing. It's people think that they own writers, and they think that they are entitled to our work, and they think that we owe them so much. It's not like they're paying us tax money. For fuck's sake, man. Like, we're not social servants. So, and people don't realize that, so you have to learn to look at these people and be like, you're a pathetic whelp who sits alone all day on your mom's couch and has no control of their own life, so you feel you need to control me, and I really don't give a crap about you because you are a pathetic little fool far, far away from me who's worth less than the dirt on my fucking shoe. And once you do that, it's real easy.
Kitty got claws.
And it's funny you mention about the whole comments being ways for people to tell what they think, because with not only Pencil's help but Crystal's help too, we did an experiment on what would happen if you actually turned off comments on a story, and it's became the greater part of the Equestrian Connection project.
I love that.
Just
That was
reply.
Fascinating.
Crystal,
So
you did such a good job with like
here's
the
what
idea of that.
This was
Here's
the
what
the program you made where it moved around votes and stuff.
No.
That was a pretty
So-
interesting
No,
thing
no,
too.
no.
It all started with creating a story called Just Reply. And all it did is it had no comments attached. But the entire story was a letter written to the reader about a pony who's honestly kind of nondescript for the purpose that the reader inserts what they want into the character, talking about how they're not okay. Okay, that wasn't intentional.
Sorry.
But the pony's not doing well and needs someone to talk to her, and is likely going to do something she can't undo if no one talks to her. So by disabling comments, we remove the ability for the readers to talk to her entirely. And then after that, it was a game. How many people would actually try to reach out, or how many people would get mad at the fact that comments were turned off? If someone reached out publicly to speak to the character of the story, it would be 2 points in the positive direction. If it was privately, 1 point in the opposite direction. For every person who commented about how mad they were about comments being turned off, -5 points. And that's the first time I've said that live.
Yeah,
But-
I didn't know about the -5
I didn't
points.
know
This is
that
news
either.
to me.
So at 10 votes, at 10 points, there'd be a letter released saying that the main character wasn't going to commit suicide. And to our luck, she survived. But that said, there are still people, even after we adamantly worked on that story, I had it reviewed by fellow peers. We had a whole game associated outside of the fact there wasn't comments. There were still people that were going to be upset just for the sake of being upset because there weren't comments. And I find that really interesting.
A question
Now,
for you, real quick. For those that don't know, how could someone complain about comments? Did you kind of like anywhere if they sent you a
Blog
PM?
post. Blog post.
Blog posts, private messages, comments on my user page. Actually, if you go through my user page, people were commenting me directly about the story.
I turned that off a long time ago. But yes, I'm hearing
So
you.
there were avenues in order to do it, but there were a lot of people who complained about not having comments on it. I just found it so fascinating because they wouldn't take the extra step to dig deeper and see what was really going on and why it happened. So it just proved to show that people don't care why. They just want that level of control because it makes them feel good. So that's the big thing that all this was leading up to. Congratulations, everybody!
Surprise! And you know the other thing is Crystal did something similar.
It was a short-lived thing that I was trying to do.
Okay, she's gonna try to downplay it now.
I am, because I didn't invest the time to make it go anywhere. I put together it was basically a survey, a poll, where it would show you basically a screenshot of a story, like the story description page, and you would rate whether, like, how interested you were in the story and why or why not, and then it would show you the real page where, like, I did things like changing cover art, changing the upvote downvote ratios, fixing description things, and just like changing factors to see how it impacted how you felt about the story. And I did a very small like test group of it, and already like that was really, really interesting, where some people straight up said, like, they're like, oh, this seems like a good story, but it's got so many downvotes, I would skip it, and then it would show that it really didn't have those downvotes, and they're like, oh, well, now I guess I'll go find this story and read it. And so it was interesting to me, but I at the time was busy and just didn't have the time to like try to circulate it more to get more data.
Yeah. So what I learned about myself was I only care about short descriptions, like, because again, that's the thing. Like, so that's what I learned about myself. Like, I apparently just judge stories by descriptions, which is why I guess I put that out. So I think that's interesting, and I think Priest's what he's talking about is fascinating. That's like super fascinating to me.
We tried. We used the scientific method and everything. It was great.
I mean, I was arrogant with my response to yours too, Priest, because I even asked, like, would you rather do it in private or public? Because I didn't want to step on his toes, because I didn't know the game of it.
Literally, all I said was.
And I kept overthinking it. And I kept overthinking it like really hard. It's like, is there a clue? Is there a riddle? Are there links? Like, I really, really overthought it because I felt frustrated that I couldn't figure out the trick to it, and it felt like there was a trick. It definitely felt like there was a trick to it.
There was a trick.
And
the trick was community, not to the person.
Yeah, exactly. Which I didn't get. And eventually I just posted a blog post from a character in one of my stories because I'm arrogant. And then I got a message from Priest. I was like, oh, damn it. It was frustrating. Me from the outside looking in, it was frustrating.
Anyway, so yeah, that's how Horsefame ruined my life.
Yay!
No.
Yay!
I
but
will
no,
say real quick, not to talk about myself, but to talk about myself.
No, please.
I don't know if anyone remembers. I guess it was earlier this year. I don't know when it was. I posted the story "Lucky Guy," which was my attempt at trying second person writing, and
Yes.
I got a little overzealous and tried to also do a puzzle secret ending kind of thing.
Yep.
And
yeah,
the reaction
I will say,
to that was so vitriolic that I like nearly took down the whole story. I got so mad. People were just like, there was so much vitriol over doing that. So I had no point. Just like you were talking just reminded me of just that frustration, that vitriol, my desire to like literally just tear apart the story because I hated myself so much for the way people reacted to it.
Well, that does actually bring up another interesting point that the community kind of does subtly without really realizing it. Do you think that the community pigeonholes you into writing a certain type of thing?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I mean, well, for one thing, in my case, I bring it on myself. So I specifically go out of my way to write things that are distressing. And so people remember those better because they're really distressing. And that's what I'm known for, is writing distressing things. And when I write something serious, it usually is so shocking that it either gets no attention or it gets all the attention. But that's definitely self-inflicted.
I think mine is also self-inflicted. So trying to think of how I want to word this. Some people know, not everyone knows. And I don't, because my family and coworkers actually know about Crystal Wishes and know that I write ponies. Like, I'm not private about this aspect of my life at all. That makes certain things slightly more difficult, in the sense of I had an idea for a story that was off-brand, was not a story I'd want my mama to read. So I actually have an alt account where I posted this story, and I feel awkward about associating it with me because I've No, it was not Make It Rain. That one I'm very public about that was me. But because it's off-brand, because it's a little bit more raunchy than the things that I normally write, and no one associates raunchy with me, gasp,
Crystal,
proven.
you wrote porn?
It's not. Ansel, you read it. I wouldn't call it porn.
No, it would not register as porn to anybody but her. But it's certainly much more risque for her and us. And I don't want to ruin her point, but if she doesn't make a certain point, I'm definitely going to make it about it. And it's one of those that will never be associated with her.
Damn it.
Also, just to drive people nuts. I mean, she'll probably tell you, but yeah, in general. But go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want it publicly associated with me.
Yes.
Again, because literally my mother knows about Crystal Wish. She doesn't read my stuff or anything, but she knows it exists, and there is a theoretical possibility that she could find it. I don't want that. And there's also, I don't want it on the Crystal Wishes account because this is Crystal Sugar Witches, like the people don't associate. There's literally Shadza started a meme of not safe for Crystal Wishes. This is a part of my identity that these things do not go together. Velveteen Mask got some reprimand for being too raunchy, and that story really isn't even that raunchy. So I guess my point was just there is some self-inflicted, but there is an expectation that Crystal Wishes is a sugar fluff writer, and that's who she is.
But you wrote about farts, and it was great.
I know. I honestly never believed I would ever write and post that, again, because of the belief that I don't write those kind of things. And by the time I finally have posted that, that was because I reached a point where I was like, you know what? I am okay with a little brand loss because I wanted to write it. So yeah. That was me consciously deciding I was going to go outside my brand because I felt the pressure for so long.
The pressure?
Oh my god, she had to release the pressure.
So wow, funny story. Just and again, I'm not gonna get too into it because I don't want to do any name news. One of my favorite parts of the secret account, the alternate account, is someone that has previously been. No, I knew you wouldn't. That's why I'm gonna say it.
Okay.
Yep. Someone that completely talks about how she needs to improve and craps on her as a writer, literally gushed all over the story. So they literally exactly. Exactly. So they don't know. It's just one of those things that I get to have a secret little laugh and quiet and you're an idiot.
I understand. I've had those moments. My favorite of which Priest knows about, was when somebody contacted me to tell me how I write female orgasms wrong.
Yes! Aww. That was hilarious.
That's so cute.
I know, there was you're doing it wrong. My girlfriend says A, B, and C, and this is how it works. And it seemed really hard, they were trying to convince themselves that they were doing it right and that their girlfriend wasn't lying to them about her orgasms.
Aww.
I know, and I sat there going honey, it's how would you know? I bet you never even sleep with girls. I'm I have a few times.
I love that so much.
It was just, it was so funny.
I will say in the past, yeah, definitely before we were more quote unquote out, I have had a lot of I don't think you understand relationships and stuff. I'm I'm probably twice your age and I'm married. So I think I at least have, I've at least attracted one mate.
Oh, or BDSM criticism. That's another one. That's not how a poly relationship works. That's not how BDSM works. This is not how BDSM relationships should be. This is abuse. I'm boy.
So,
I know things you don't know.
Our comment section on
oh my god! Yes, so, I loved that. I posted memes at them. Sorry, I'm so excited about this. I'm sorry. Go, Priest, go.
So there's a funny story, and it's called Her Most Faithful Servant. And the funny story around that story isn't actually the story. It's about that story is inspired by true events. And more specifically, the early stages of Pencil and my relationship.
It's true. It's just about that. There's so many things in that are true that happen that are like direct conversation pieces. And
in fact, for a while, the core basis of those chapters were based on like a couple times I actually sent Pencil a message, go, "Dear Princess Pencil," and she went, "Please stop, please." Today I learned about dominating. It was really, it was funny, and it was all intended to be a big joke, and then it actually turned into a story talking about the early stages of our relationship. And
then I like broke. I ruined your life with the last chapter.
You did.
I didn't let you read until it was already published.
I still read that chapter.
I wrote him a love letter for the last chapter, like expressing feelings I hadn't expressed before, and I made sure he didn't read it before it was published.
Aww.
Point is, people still commented in that story saying, "This is unrealistic. It would never happen this way."
Oh yeah, there were people been like, "That is not how people are at all. This person sounds like a toxic mess. This sounds like an abusive relationship," and I'm just like, okay, sure.
I mean,
that's fine.
I've actually gotten comments like that before, like with Crystal and Silent's relationship. They do the do before they say "I love you," and people were like, "That's just so wrong. That's not how it works. I say I love you to my boyfriend all the time." I'm like, "Oh, sweetie, sweet summer child.
Yes.
Please sit upon your daisy field and let me tell you about how real relationships work. And all of them are different."
Yes,
that one got her. It was pretty funny. She was very, very angry about that.
I got fired. Well, someone gave me what is it called, an allegory, and unfortunately they edited it out of their comment when I called them out on it. But it was a whole allegory about how a woman had a beautiful fruit, and she, before finding someone to share it with, tried it, and it was so sweet and so wonderful, and then she found the person she would share her life with, and they shared in the fruit, and yet it was not as sweet.
Right. And again, for those of you who didn't get that, it was basically saying sex before marriage makes sex after marriage not as good. And I can tell you, it's definitely not true, because I had sex before marriage, and I've had sex after. Crystal's like hiding her face. And I will tell you something. The fruit doesn't get less sweet. In fact, when you have a good relationship, the fruit, she's like beet red. She's dying over there. The fruit gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter, but in no less did the two of us having premarital sex, and we did before we were married.
Go on, please talk more about Crystal's fruits. I need to know about her banana.
So anyway, I thought that would get her.
This is going on our channel.
Crystal.
What did I say about my mother knows who I am?
Oh, should I? Okay, Crystal, I was going to tell you that I had a comment like that too, actually directed at me. Yeah. About how the more you give it away before marriage, the less valuable it'll be. And it was, if you'll excuse me some crude language for a moment, it was somebody who made the post.
How could it get more crude?
Nothing I said was crude.
Have you met me? So, the person's comment was like only one, like if a key opens a lock, then that's they're supposed to be together. And if one key opens many locks, it's a master key. However, if many keys open one lock, then it's just a shitty lock.
That's so sexist.
I know, and I responded without any hesitation, and they got really mad, and please excuse the language. I said, "Why would I want keys in my pussy when I could have a dick?" Oh. And they got really mad at me. And they stopped, and they blocked me, and I felt good about myself.
My problem is, every time I have received comments like this, like, just to throw it out there because I find it funny, there's actually a review on the site that talks about the immorality of Crystal's wishes, which is so funny to me. But nonetheless, every time I see these allegories and these things, I'm just like, you're 14 or possibly 24. Either way, you've never indulged, clearly. Otherwise, you wouldn't have to make these allegories.
Yeah. Well, and it's again, it's the so, and I don't want this to actually offend people because I don't feel this way, but like again, I grew up in rural Georgia, right? And it's basically we learned there's a certain type of person, and that person is the well, my pastor says, and that's the
Yes.
kind.
Or
And
my mom says.
Yes.
I have many people where I live like that.
yes, and it's clear. It's like, okay, you should listen to that person, but you need to have your own thoughts, right? Like, so
Mhm.
I worked with a Baptist, a former Baptist pastor for about a year and a half, and it was really good. And his whole thing was, you know, we don't. Most of us don't try to do this for. Well, no, his argument was, well, most of us don't try to do it for control. It's if you do follow these things, chances are you're going to have a better life. Simple argument. Like, if you don't kill people, you'll probably live longer. Reasonable. If you don't steal, you'll probably not end up in jail. Okay, reasonable. If you don't sit around thinking about all the stuff you don't have, you'll probably be happier. And I got his message, but yeah, a lot of it's the whole control thing. But you know, anyway. Okay, well, it is 9:15. We got about 15 more minutes. Do we want to play a little match game?
Oh Lord, it's happening!
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes, no, that's totally fine. Flupre, did you have any other points you wanted to bring up, or do you think we
Don't tell writers. The last point would probably be like, don't tell writers to write like other writers.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh
yes.
yeah, yes.
Lord mercy, does that like hashtag trigger me up a wall?
Mm-hmm.
I got to get my charger, but okay. So here's how this will work, folks. Flutter Priest and I are going to be a couple. Pencil and Crystal are going to be a couple. And
Okay.
what are we going to do? We'll send the answers to you secretly, and then they'll send them to me secretly, and then that's how it'll
You go
go.
get your charger. We'll figure this out. You go.
Whoa,
That got complicated.
It
Okay,
sounded complicated.
it's okay. We're gonna keep it. We're gonna do
Okay.
this simply.
Okay.
We're gonna figure this out.
Okay.
Are we looking for ideas or?
Well, okay. So I have 10 questions.
Okay.
I have 10 newlywed game questions. So it's Pencil and I. I mean, I can just leave the room, I guess. I don't know.
Or, well,
Because
why don't...
just doing his thing of like doing the private things, sometimes the banter is funny. Like, I don't want to lose the banter because we're trying to do private messages.
Oh, fair enough.
So we can just like we can silence ourselves while it's.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Because I kind of also think they should be written down because otherwise we'll forget because I forget everything.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
I also like the idea of that person like silencing, so they just can't say anything while the other person digs themselves into a hole.
Yes. No. Okay. We're getting there. We planned, guys. Guys, we did a good plan of this.
Yes. So
Yeah,
what
we did.
do we get questions in advance and write down, or do we? I don't.
No, I
Don't-
understand.
Well,
He's
all right.
setting up his laptop.
So Pencil, here's how I
It's okay.
envisioned it, which is apparently this is going to be where we have a difference of opinion in the marriage. So there's a list of questions, and we do one at a time. So basically, we would take turns, each team being host, right? So as an example, Kristen would say, Priest and
Kristen?
Ansel. Okay, hands, Priest and Ansel. What's your favorite ice cream flavor to eat on a hot day? And then we would both send the answer and see if it matched. And that's like the easiest. And we could banter a little bit, but we can't cheat. If that makes
That's
sense.
fair. I will say when we did this
I thought
in
we
the
were going to be
past-
saying the answer that the other would say.
Yes, that's typically how the newlywed game goes, is
Okay.
you would say, and I just wanted to point out, when we did this in the past, it was really funny just of having the person that was being asked a question being like, okay, well, if I have to think about how Pencil is going to answer this, she would probably say da-da-da-da-da. Because that's how the
That's true.
newlywed game typically goes, is
That's
one
true.
person's answering what they think.
I think given the time, we need to play match games.
Okay, we're gonna play it. Well, then why not just 3, 2, 1?
Well, because let's just do the. Pencil wants to write it down. I want to write it down.
That's what I mean. No, yes.
No. I just wanted. I just meant I wanted to write down the questions because I forget questions.
I mean, so Ansel asks a question, Pencil and I type, and then 3, 2, 1, we hit enter.
Okay, I like that. All right, so here's what we're gonna do then. We'll do an example.
Okay.
So, we'll go through the newest Hollywood power couple of Anon wishes, and we're gonna ask 10 questions, and we'll see how y'all do. Then we'll go the other way.
Who are we answering for?
Are we typing it in the
newlywed questions?
Are we typing it in the lobby?
Yes, in the lobby.
Yes.
Because newlywed questions are phrased. What would?
Yeah, we're gonna go with your questions. So.
Right, but are we answering what Pencil's going to say, and then I say what Pencil's going to say, and she?
No, for just the swap. Oh, I see your
Right.
point.
Like, how are we determining our answers?
Fug.
He's just suddenly his thing just stopped working.
Uh-oh.
Oh no. Well, we could,
Oh,
Fug.
You keyed up a little bit there.
Test. Hello.
Okay, you seem to be back.
Okay. Here's what we'll do.
You're live.
Let me do an example. So, all right. Pencil. What animal would Crystal say that she is? Does that work?
Okay. So
I heard robotics. I'm sorry. What was that?
Pencil. What animal would Crystal say she is?
Help me!
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. What animal would you say? What animal am I? What animal do you think I am?
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Wait. Okay.
Am I that bad? Is it bad?
No, you sound fine
No,
to me.
you're not. You sound fine.
Okay.
It was just me.
It's okay. Okay, you ready to hit enter?
Yes. Yeah.
Banana is
Thanks,
always the
Milk.
correct answer.
All right.
Oh,
Very
man.
good.
Shit. I tried.
You tried. It's okay.
Now reverse.
Okay.
Crystal. What animal? I'm gonna sneeze.
Oh Lord, let me think.
What animal, Crystal? What animal would Pencil say Pencil is?
Hmm. This is gonna be wrong, but I got an answer.
So hard, I don't know. I've played this game so many times. Fine, I'll just go with Ye Old and stand by.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, enter.
Honey Badger's opinion, but I like it so much better.
All right, I like it. All right, let's see here. Next question.
Ruh-roh.
If there was a question asked, I hear silence.
His thing keeps disconnecting.
No, I'm here. My machine's trying to do updates. Is it better?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Thanks,
We'll probably-
Windows.
Okay, so we're going to do a few of these. Some of them will just be fictional, so we'll have to see how great y'all are at coming up with stuff and things. But instead of y'all all doing both, I just want to make that as an example. All right, so Crystal, what flower best describes your Pencil in the morning when she first gets up?
Oh. Well, okay, I guess. Well, I mean, if I'm being honest, I'm being honest. Let's be honest.
Okay, I got my answer.
All right. Oh my lord! Oh my lord!
I love that.
Oh my lord! I do wake up, I'm just like, feed!
It's so true! It's so true! Okay, so in the times that I have to have an alarm to get up for some reason, it's not the alarm that wakes me up. It's Pencil literally beating me and kicking me until I'm out of bed and have fixed it.
That's true. I just yell, fix it, fix it, fix it, and kick him until he gets out of bed.
And then you
I
go back
love
to
it.
sleep.
I do.
I stand by my selection.
I love it.
Okay.
All right. Pencil, what is the most embarrassing thing you have done around Crystal?
Oh, most embarrassing thing I've ever done?
Around Crystal.
Okay. This is a weird thing to say, but it's
I look forward to seeing it.
Now I'm interested too.
okay. I've got it.
Okay, I'm thinking.
It's really personal. Is that okay?
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
I'm curious what you think it is. Okay, I'm ready.
Ready?
Yeah. Oh.
It was so bad. I just like panicked.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do that.
No, it was after your panel, and I was like, really, that was a wonderful panel. Probably the one with the most like value this whole con has had.
Oh gosh. Yes,
And you went,
I just
oh my
started.
god, thank you. And I thought you were kidding. And I thought you were pretending to cry, and I kind of started to make a joke about it.
No.
And then I saw that there were actual tears, and I panicked. No, don't do that! Like,
I still
Yeah.
remember so fondly, like the panel still had to keep going out there, so I went and got chairs for everyone.
Yeah.
That was a
That
good
was so
year.
fun. And Erie was awesome too.
Oh.
Speaking of which, quick side note, we are gonna do a panel at the last BronyCon. Do we want to try to do like all four of us on something?
Are we gonna do a force?
oh my god!
Awesome!
I mean, if we're gonna go out, if we're gonna go out, why not go
Oh
out
my
big?
gosh, can we do this, guys?
Because I mean, like I said,
happily,
we'll do
yes,
ours. Okay,
yes.
so we need to plan
let's do
because
it.
there's no reason why we can't submit and have multiple panels each. But I mean, if
You
we're
guys
gonna
are
go,
such a wholesome couple, and we're such a not wholesome couple. This works great.
all right. So let's coordinate with that and figure out what that's going to be because I know panel submissions aren't open yet. I think our last one's going to be something like how ponies helped how ponies are a part of our marriage. Just something kind of sweet and sugary. So we need something to balance
they'll
it
eat
out.
that up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna be amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next one, very important one.
Oh, no.
Let's see here. Crystal, complete this sentence. Pencil Hima-sama and I's first kiss was like a.
In before dumpster fire.
Okay, I got it. I know exactly
I
what our
do
first
too.
kiss is like.
Okay,
Let's go.
go. It was.
That's so true. You're right.
Did she lick you?
Yeah.
I don't remember the lick, but I believe it.
I have photographic evidence. I have photographic evidence of me licking you.
That you're right. You're right. I mean, so the raging inferno of passion and groping hands. What was going on in my head? That's
Ooh.
totally what it was.
Mine too, baby. Mine too.
I forgot that happened. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to forget that happened.
It's okay. It's okay.
All right. Do you want to take over
I
for
just
free
accept
tonight?
it as a part of life that happened.
Yeah.
Okay. You two ready?
You ready,
Let's do
Priest?
this.
We can do this.
We can
Okay,
do
let me
this.
pull up the
We'll do
questions.
better.
But I'm streaming, so this is difficult. Can you spam it again just so my screen of our conversation, because it's in private messages, is only that, so people don't see our private parts?
Okay, I thought it really loud. You actually said it.
Okay, perfect. That should cover it.
We say a lot of very personal things on Discord to each other.
That's
okay.
And sometimes just use for stuff like the other day, I was like, send me your social security number on this hopefully secure platform.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. The thing is, I know the answer to this one. All right.
I'm ready.
Ansel. What is Flutter Priest's guilty pleasure food?
Ooh,
Oh.
I know the
okay.
answer too.
Oh,
Guilty
God.
pleasure food. All right, I'm gonna make a guilty pleasure. I think I've got an educated guess, so I'm gonna type it out and then we'll go together.
There's like 2. So.
I know what they are.
Stop.
Okay, I'm ready. Here we go.
All right. 3, 2,
3, 2,
1.
1. Yes! Yes!
Oh wait, I guess we're competing. Dang it!
What's churro?
I don't know how to spell churro. I'm too
Oh.
white.
No. Priest likes Reese's in every way.
It's true. But I also did put pizza because, oh my God, pizza.
Yep. All right. Next, please.
Flutter
Let's do
Priest,
this.
My darling Flu Pre, and my darling husband. Between the two of you, who usually gets their way with things?
I think that's an easy answer. Wow, you guys got the easy questions.
I'm ready when you are.
All right. Here we go. Let's do it. Now.
3.
Yeah, we all knew that was coming.
Oh. Next question.
Next, I guess.
Man, we're a terrible couple compared to your husband and my boyfriend, Crystal.
Yeah, especially because like I know the answer to this one. I'm sorry, Flutter Priest.
That's fine.
Though I guess I don't know. Ansel, would you reveal a deep, dark secret about Flutter Priest for $1 million?
I mean,
Right.
are you asking for a deep, dark secret, or are you asking yes or no?
It's would I betray his trust for $1 million? That's basically
Yes.
yeah. Basically, it's
Yeah.
would I betray his trust for a deep dark secret for $1 million? All right, you ready, Priest?
Yeah, okay. 3, 2, 1, now.
Yeah. So and the reason why Crystal looked at me and goes like, "Oh, I already know the answers," and y'all need to understand this, and I mean this literally. I am a whore, okay? And like, so as long as that deep dark secret was only going to embarrass Flutter Priest, but was not going to result in any like legal or financial consequences, yes, absolutely. Especially for $1 million, because then I'd give him 500,000 to be like, "Is this good, baby?" And he'd be like, "Yeah."
I mean, to be
And then he'd spend it on me.
To be completely frank, Ansel and I don't know if this is a normal couple thing, but we have discussed what our limit would be to sell our butts.
Oh no, I've totally done that. I've had that discussion.
Okay.
So like just a quick tangent. I have like I find that most people are ridiculous on this. So like back in college, I had a discussion with a guy and he's like, and it was, would you let Puff Daddy do you in the butt for like $30 million? He's like, no way. I'm like, dude, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, of course I would.
I'd
That's
let
serious dodge.
for $30 million, he could raw dog it. So I mean,
And then you could turn around and sue him for, like, hey, I'll reveal all this shit that you did, and then he'll pay you a bunch of hush money, and so you get double the money.
exactly.
Like, I guess I'd only ask for a condom if they're like diseases.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean that's my thing. Like, okay, next question, please.
So anyway,
I'm sorry, my presence turns all interviews NSFW. I'm sorry, but it happens around me at all times.
I'm the one who brought it up. I kind of wanted to know if that was like a weird couple thing that other couples did too.
That was the tension in the interviews when the Barcast interviewed like people from the show. It was sexual tension.
For the record, my price is lower than her price. She has a higher value of her body than I have of mine.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, Flutter Priest. If Ansel lost his memory of you, how would you convince him that he knows you?
Ooh, I like this question.
That he knows me? He forgot me.
Right.
How would you convince him that he does know you after all?
All right, I have my answer.
This one's hard for me, actually.
I apologize. See, when I
No, you
picked...
don't.
Okay, I apologize a little bit, because when I picked these questions, I presumed it would be couples. So, like, that's a much easier question to ask with
All right,
your
whoa,
significant
stop,
other.
stop. Are you trying to say Flutter Priest and I aren't a couple?
Listen, don't be so sensitive. You know what I meant.
Okay.
You delicate little flower diva.
Okay.
I don't think she's taking us seriously.
Are you ready?
Okay,
Priest?
I'm ready. All right, 3, 2, 1, now.
Oh, you're. Actually, yes, your answer is also correct.
Yeah, pretty much. Floopy knows how to do.
All right, final question for us, and then we'll have our good nights.
Well, technically, I don't know. Okay, sure. This one's a little difficult, so we're gonna make this a special round, just because of what the question is.
Okay, are we going back to normal couples?
No, I think we should stick with the couples the legitimate couples as they are. But like this is just like a bonus round, so like Pencil and I, and you and Floopy.
Okay.
Oh,
Because the
I'm
question
ready.
is, what is the best thing about your partner?
Oh.
So I
That's
think we
easy.
should just end this on our super sweet. We just all at once just bukake of love.
Yes. We're all silent as we do this.
Yes, no, this is serious business.
I'm ready.
Oh wait, I gotta add one more thing. Okay. Now I'm ready. Of course, you and I, the ones who don't give a shit about things, Ansel, are the ones done first.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Now.
I love
Gosh,
you
dang.
so much.
Aww. Aww.
I do have a good butt.
You do have a good butt.
She does.
How do
That's
you know
true.
I have a good butt?
I send her pictures when you're not looking.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I've seen you in person. I look. Just because I have plenty of what I need at home doesn't mean I can't window shop, okay?
You should see her lately. She's been she did a lot. Okay, never
No,
mind.
it's okay. You can say
Hold
you
on.
can say, you know,
No,
I'm gonna
it's fine.
compliment
You
my
dug
body.
a hole.
You can do it. Compliment my body.
She has done a lot of work on that butt, and it's rocking. I'm just gonna point that out that I'm a very lucky husband. Okay, well, I would like to thank Pencil and Flutter Priest for joining us tonight. It has been wonderful, and I'd say we would all have everybody look forward to the panel for the four of us for BronyCon that we don't even know what it
Yes.
is and has not yet been approved, but probably will be because stuff.
Horsefame. No, sorry. Was that too far? Oh god, I ruined everything. I'm
No,
so
you're
sorry.
fine. You're fine. I was typing. I'm sorry. I can really only focus on one thing at a time. I'm very sorry.
God, it's so true. But no, truly, thank y'all so much for coming out.
The pleasure is all Pencil's and mine.
It is.
Oh.
He's right. It definitely is. Also, yeah, we gotta get you back on the broadcast sometime.
We will.
We're down.
If nothing else, actually, specifically, fans of Shitface Shitfix want Crystal to come on and read porn again.
What?
Okay.
Seriously?
Yes,
why haven't you done more
so
Sonic?
often.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No, they
actually,
keep asking.
The
Well, 'cause
SFSF
again-
for Crystal reading Sonic is actually like a good.
It's the highest. It's the highest rated SFSF ever.
Oh my god, then let's totally do it. Like, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
You guys just you say win. I had no idea that anyone else enjoyed that. Like, I had so much fun.
The recording ends with you saying, "I'm okay."
Yeah, I remember that night because I had to monitor her alcohol level.
You're a good husband.
We're
I try.
terrible friends.
We are.
Yay!
All right, gang. Well, I'm gonna spend some time with my pops before bed because we got a big day tomorrow. So those of y'all who are of the religious type, send some positive vibes our way, and good night, everybody.
Good
Bye.
night.
Good night.
Thank you two for
all.
coming in. This was so much fun.
Thank you. It was
Oh,
so
look,
much fun.
Azurite says good night.
Aww.
Aww.
She's such a good bot.
Aww. Hey, and be in touch.